Hello world, and welcome to our live stream. I'm Aaron.
I'm Garrett.
And today we're joined by Irene Strychalski. I think that's how you say her last name.
Strychalski.
But she's not here to correct me, so I guess we're just going to have to hang out and hope she shows up. While we do, why don't we say hello to everybody in the chat?
What's up, guys?
So we've got a D-Wags. We've got Woodrow. Hashtag Crackpack Erde. Bow. We got a Mo Biggs. We've got, that's about it. So we're just going to hang out and hopefully give Irene a little bit more time. Yes, streams and scams.
Mo Biggs says she'll be extra loud and extra squeaky to make up for it.
Let's hope so.
Get it together.
I was just doing my research on Irene earlier today and all the cool stuff that she's done in the past. And I had all these exciting questions to ask her. And I can't help but feel like she's ducking out on me because she doesn't want to have to answer some of these very difficult and probing questions like, where did you go to school and where were you born? Her Twitter did disappear momentarily, but I think that's more of a glitch on Frequency Girls and than on Irene's. So, while we wait, what does the chat want to do? You guys want to ask us some questions? You want to see what Garrett's working on? Let's look at what Garrett's working on. That's good. Let's do that. Geez. Yeah, there you go. It's, I know what it is.
Really rough pencils and stuff of a revised
tell
page.
them? I'll tell them what page it is.
Sure.
So the Mavs have just landed in Ulaanbaatar, and they are beginning to fan out and move through the city, cordoning off firing lanes and taking overwatch positions to make sure that the refugees that they're going to escort out of there are properly protected. So that's kind of what's going on this page. And we've got Ripper and Hotshot on the top panel. Then we've got Cold Shoulder and Bigfoot in the middle. And then Mother and Jester and the three panels across the center. Bo Big says, don't forget, when you ask her if she's had any formal education, blah, 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 blah.
Education?
Education, yeah. Any formal education for sequential art, that's always a barn burner. She actually does, though, Mo. She attended University of Savannah, Georgia, and they do have a sequential art program. One of the few colleges in the country that offers a degree, which is why I was so excited to talk to her about it. I mean, like, you know, straight down to the rafters, right? The entire barn collapses under the heat of that question. No, there are a lot of cool questions that we have for Irene. Like, what was it like doing this? You have to go big on me.
I'm sorry, I was sending her a message.
You sending her a message?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Gwenpool! Frequency Girl loved that book. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was cute and fun.
Mo Big says, I know one of these days someone will finally say yes.
It's going to be Irene. It's totally going to be Irene. We got Sam Rogers in the house. I was clicking on it. You were sending a message to Irene, so I was taking over the chat. But now
okay, that's
you're
fine.
apparently
so you
doing
take
your
over
job
chat,
again. Yeah, okay.
And I'll go back to...
Why aren't you on the screen? There we go. Why don't we put you on the screen? Here, let's all look at you.
Why are we looking at me?
I don't know, because there's no one else to look at but me and Garrett, and I thought I would distract the chat.
Oh, I'm not quite as happy and bouncy and definitely not near as talented.
We got B-Rose. B-Rose started streaming because he hated our vampire stream so much. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Sam is happy to be here. Yeah, so Irene. What does it mean?
On, Irene. Oh, I swear now, Irene.
It's not Sunday. Do you want
It's
to
also
sing
not
it right
Eileen.
now? Yeah.
But
I mean, you can make up your own words. It's allowed.
I did. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I
caught
changed
that.
it from Eileen to Irene.
Yeah. It's difficult.
It was.
Very difficult.
I had to rack my brain for that one.
I mean, they don't even start with the same
Impressive
letter. What's that?
Yeah, okay.
It's a what?
So you guys, impressive swamp is what it was.
I just read Mobix's.
What did he say?
I have a message, but it's not from Irene.
I probably scared her with my hot garbage stream performance. Luckily, the chat, AR-15 orangutan, fantastic voice singing, and good stuff in Steve got us through it. Yeah, D-Wag, you were a little tired last night. That's all I gotta say. I mean, like, you know, good stuff really did carry the show. Steve Worcester, he looked like a meth addict. Even though we know he's a crack addict, not a meth addict. Very important distinction. And you just kind of, I mean, despite having 2 liters of Diet Mountain Dew, did not have the caffeine rush necessary to pull that show together. But it was okay. I enjoyed myself and had a good time anyway. D-Wag says, as bad as I was on last night's stream, I probably did better than B-Rose. And B-Rose probably did better than us. So that's how you see the pecking order. Mobig says, I thought the bits came out good, D-Wag. My only disappointment was that the cartoon opened with a random, no setup, no context. Why don't you just shut the F up, Spoon?
I did not get a chance.
That line could have had a killer, could have been killer with better setup. B-Rose is making emojis.
Should I?
Message Irene again?
I've just messenger. I should read.
No, let's just look at some of her art.
Okay.
Look, that's Fiendish art right there, everybody.
Fiendish looks pretty freaking great.
It does. It really looks great. And that's because Irene's got an incredible history in comic books. Garrett, did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, I know everything about her. You know nothing about her, but that's part of the fun of these interviews. Is I ask probing questions that gets our guests to reveal or divulge some personal information, and Garrett gets to react to that. You know?
that's why everyone tunes in.
Right? Yeah, to watch your reactions and get all excited and be like, "Oh,
man.
do you know about Daniel Warren Johnson?"
Okay.
We have Jim Cox.
Hey, Jim.
I think
What's
issue
up?
4 is coming out this week, I think.
Oh, great! All we're gonna hear about him
Yeah.
is Beta Ray. All
Hell
week
yeah,
long.
man.
Jim, Irene's not here. You should go watch something else.
Sumatori.
Hey,
Hello.
Sumathori. Thanks for showing up. Sumathori was actually pretty active in the Red Valkyrie auction. It was a lot of fun to be in there with them. I don't know if Sumathori is male, female, or how they identify, so I'm just going to say them to be safe. Yep. Yeah, we got no Irene. I swear, I'm not mean. She's just not here.
She was supposed to be. She confirmed. She liked our post earlier that said she was going to be here. So I hope her ceiling didn't cave in again and this time cause more problems.
Well, she's an artist, so we are a weird breed of people who are famously on time for everything we say we're going to be for.
I like Mo's.
It's possible, Mo. She may have thought she was going to have to play Vampire the Masquerade. I actually am wearing my Assamite t-shirt today. It was in the rotation.
A Samite t-shirt?
Yeah, it's... yes. No.
Yes, she is in the same time zone, Jim. We are both on the East Coast.
Right.
So,
Coast with the most.
yes. The right coast. not
I mean,
the
I could
left.
just start asking questions, and she could
I
not
mean, we
answer
could
them.
do...
Oh, you know what? We'll make up the answers?
Kemosabe missed, and we could just make up
All right,
information.
let's do that. That actually
Instead
was
of
kind of
about
fun.
Australia, it would be about...
So you want to start over?
Hey, I borrow ideas.
Hey, I borrow ideas. Hashtag crackpack every day bout. So hi, I'm Aaron, and that's Garrett. And we're here with artist and animator Irene Strychalski, here to talk to us about her comic book crowdfunding campaign, Fiendish, available only on Indiegogo. Welcome to the show, Irene. And that's the part where she would say, hi, I'm happy to be here, and be really squeaky and bouncy, but she's not here, so we can't do that. Instead, I'll go, so, where are you from? And she'll say, I was born in Taiwan. And then she'll talk about being in Taiwan and then moving here. And I'll say, so how'd you fall in love with
She's coming on
comic
now.
books?
She's been having internet problems.
Well, how do you know that?
Because I just got a message from
The
her.
chat doesn't know anything about that. Hey, Eric McIntyre, what's going on, my man? So apparently we are getting an Irene.
That's why I'm informing everyone that
I
we
feel
got the
very
message.
informed. Thank you.
So this way, I mean, I guess I could have let you go.
We're just starting to bleed viewers right now.
No, actually, we just gained one.
Look at that.
So she will be here momentarily.
We should have some more openings where we just kind of
Do nothing.
Do nothing. I'm sure people would love that.
Right.
Just
I believe you're correct. You know what we should be doing is we should just be doing draw streams. We should just have people watching you draw.
Yeah.
I think I heard a ding dong.
We did.
And she's probably in the back room.
It's true. Here we go.
There is no pie back there, though.
There is no pie.
No backstage pie.
We are
I'm just going to add her to the stream then, okay?
gonna add you
Boop.
in.
Boop.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Irene?
Oh my gosh.
Yo.
I am so sorry.
That's
okay.
My internet decided to die the minute I was like, oh, it's about time to go on a stream. Nope. Zero internet.
That's okay. It's happened to us before.
You were,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. You were already answering questions for us, so we just moved past the first couple.
So we have a thing when like someone has to cancel the last minute or something comes up. We just kind of keep going and we make up answers. So we did it once for
Oh.
Kimosabe and we made up information about Australia.
Jurassic
Oh,
Park was
awesome.
filmed
Okay, well,
there.
cool.
They actually
cool.
have dinosaurs. So, do you really want to quickly recap, though? You were born in Taiwan, yes? Or did I
Yeah.
make that up? Okay. And you came to the States when?
I came to the States for college.
Right.
So,
And you
yeah,
went to the University of Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
no, yeah, Savannah College.
See, look, she was lying the last. When I told her that and she responded, she was lying. Clearly.
So why don't we back it up and have you just actually introduce yourself and say hi?
Hi everyone, I'm Irene. I am a comic artist, illustrator,
Animator.
yeah, a little bit, animator.
We did backgrounds.
Yeah, background, some character designs, but mainly comics. Comics is like my main thing, and D&D connoisseur. And I'm the creator of Fiendish, which is my independent fantasy comic on Indiegogo right now. And
Right on.
yeah, very glad to be
Yeah,
here.
but I want to know about Georgia.
It is way too humid. I don't know. I didn't like grow up here. It is very hot and humid, and that's it. It's like Florida, but slightly less hellish. There you go.
So, the University of Savannah has one of the few sequential art programs in the country where you can actually like get a degree in comic book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What did you study in college?
I majored in sequential art, which is
See?
Comics,
See, Mo
yeah.
Biggs? It's real.
and I minored in animation.
That's awesome. And
Very
you actually found work in your chosen fields leaving school, unlike yours truly, who
Yeah.
majored in comparative literature and film and media studies.
Oh.
And Garrett, who went to art school and was a classically trained painter. I mean, like, you didn't,
I mean,
you
I
didn't
went- I
paint
did-
12
yeah, no,
foot
it was-
tall, canvases, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say classically trained.
Okay, well, you were trained in the classics.
I mean,
Okay, you know what? He just argues with me. It's fine. I'm going to make stuff up because that's what I do. I'm a writer. I just make things up. So, who are some of your favorite comic book characters? I know you like manga like Berserk and Vinland Saga, and you like some Euro comics and Siegfried, but who are your favorite American comic book characters?
Frankly, not that many. I put all my influences on pretty much. If I don't list it on Fiendish, it's not a super big influence. Let's see, because the thing is, I didn't grow up reading American comics because we didn't have American comics, and after I came
See, I
to the
told you it'd
States,
be
so why
interesting.
don't you tell us a little bit of the story about how you got into comics then?
okay, so comics in general, or specifically American comics?
No. Back when
Comics
you
in
were
general.
growing up, like the kind of stuff that you were actually digesting and like taking in and getting your kind of like interest in comics started.
Garrett
what were you looking
loves
at?
Belgian comics and Euro comics, so all of this stuff is very close to his heart because he grew up on heavy metal and stuff like that. So he's actually going to have a conversation with you because he knows nothing. I know everything. He knows nothing. It's all a surprise for him. Everything about you is a surprise and fresh and exciting and new, and you two actually have a whole lot in common. I swear I'm not
that's
setting
cool.
anyone up.
Well, yeah, let's see. I grew up in Taiwan, as I said, so we didn't have any American comics or European comics for that fact. All I had there were Japanese comics, and so manga and anime, and because manga and anime is so big in Asia, it was in Taiwan is right there, so that was all I got for years and years. This was long before the MCU and everything. So nowadays it's a little more interest in like Western comics, but it's namely because of the MCU. But still, we still don't have a lot of like American or European comics translated there. It's weird. I don't know why they're failing at marketing. It's just not brought over there. So but on top of that, I had like really weird parents. So I didn't have TV at home. I didn't have games, or it's like I didn't have toys. I mean, I did, but not much. So basically, long story short, one of the few forms of entertainment I had were novels and comics. And lo and behold, when I was in middle school, a comic book store, or a manga library, more like. So we have these places called manga libraries, and it's different than a comic book shop in like America, because the main difference is you can rent the books. You can go there, you can pay like a really, really cheap fee, like it was like 5 NT or 10 NT. 5 NT to like read it in the store, and then 10 NT to borrow it and bring it home. So it was a library with tons of manga, and they were everywhere. They're not as common now anymore because manga has become mostly digitized, but back then they were everywhere. I would walk to school and I'd pass like 3, and one was right across the street from my house. So I would tell my parents I was going to go study, but instead I would be at the manga book shop reading comics and in the evenings, and that's how the addiction started. I think I started reading comics earlier than that. I started reading like just again because comics are everywhere. So they have Detective Conan, or they call it Case Closed in the United States. That was the first comic that I picked up or started reading steadily. And it's just one of those really, really popular kids comics. They had it at like dentist offices and stuff. They had it everywhere. And I liked murder mysteries and bloody dark things. So I was like, ooh, perfect. This is what a 10-year-old should be reading. So
honestly, it's one of the most exciting things about manga, in my opinion, is the fact that they have such a wide variety of genres. Like,
yes.
Unfortunately, I think Western comics are starting to catch up a little bit, but most Western comics need to be superheroes first before they're any other genre.
Yeah, that's in here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's just get the basic boring stuff out of the way first.
So that's where you started. What kind of things got you deciding that you wanted to be a comic artist?
Well, I think I always wanted to do art, starting since I was like 3. I was always that kid who would draw, and it was always art. And if you'd asked me what I wanted to do, it was always, artist. But specifically, comics, I think I was about 14, and I'm not really sure what exactly made me decide that this is the type of art I want to do, but I think it was just around the time I just came into contact with the medium, and it felt like it was for me. Because I've always been very imaginative. I've always made up my own stories. So I remember I was in elementary school, and I filled 4 or 5 school notebooks, those small thin school notebooks, with this fantasy story I was writing, and I would just write it in class, and it was this meandering story that a little kid was writing, but I was just very imaginative, and it was about a lost island. It's kind of like Dinotopia, because I really love Dinotopia.
Yep.
And I would instead of playing with the toys that I was bought, I would always sculpt my own toys out of soap and wax and candles and stuff. So I've always just been inventive, and I like to draw, and I like to make up stories. And when I came into contact with comics, I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's a medium where I can tell stories visually, but I don't have to deal with people, because that's also annoying. I can do it all on my own. So I was like, I love this. I'm going to do this forever. So yeah.
So, how heavily do you think American comics now borrow from Eurobooks and from manga? When did the Iron Age of comics post Tokyo Pop begin?
The Iron Age of comics.
That's what
I
Garrett
don't-
calls it.
No,
don't
I
know if it's
call
a thing.
Iron Age is previous to that.
Oh, okay. So when did the Tokyo Pop?
You half listen to everything I say,
It's not that
and then just
important.
write in all of the rest, and you're like, Garrett says this, or Garrett thinks this. You need to stop.
So why don't you ask the question?
So, personally, comics have weird ages, right? There's like the Golden Age, there's the Silver Age, there's the what I like to call the Iron Age, which is kind of like from the mid '80s onward.
That's a really interesting term. I've never really heard anyone name like a...
You know,
So
and
I
then
mean,
there's the
I don't
numbers.
think there's a good solid agreement on when things end or when they start. But I don't think anyone's really talking about what era, the modern. What are the actual trends of the modern era? When does the modern era begin?
Right,
I think it starts with Tokyo Pop coming over to the States and really upsetting the Western comic audience because they want to see other things. And I think a lot of modern comics being made, not necessarily by Marvel or DC, but like I think in a lot of Image books and a lot of Dark Horse books, a lot of really weird indie stuff, you start to see manga influences creep in. You start to see kind of like Belgian comic influences creep in. And we're in like this kind of cool era where you can go online and read comics from around the world. And so, it's hard to say that like any like genre is tied to any part of the world anymore. I think we're in this kind of cool cosmopolitan time.
Borders are anathema to art.
Yeah.
So I got that right. I didn't just make that up.
You
and
did
say
get
yes.
that right, yes.
So I'm going to keep going.
Like,
then.
correctly coded.
Jake says
Is Jake
that
finally here?
we're
Thank-
still in the modern age.
Thank you,
from what's
Jake, for coming in and rescuing this conversation.
See, Jake, I disagree with that. I don't think we're alone in the same modern age that a lot of people talk about. I don't know, Irene. I don't know if you have any thoughts about any of this.
Oh, snap. B-Rose dropping the weeb knowledge.
Started it.
B-Rose says Tokyo Pop started it. Viz Media took over with a landslide. That's a good point because Viz has, like, Jake was actually going through all about the subsidiary licensing that goes on with Viz Media and manga overseas coming here to the U.S. I would love to bring him in and actually
Jake
talk
is
about
refuting.
that. No, B-Rose. Viz was there before the top pop, I don't know.
The Tokyo Pop.
Oh, Tokyo Pop reign. Oh, thank you for figuring that out. I'm just reading words.
Well, you also don't have glasses, and it's tiny, so it's a little more difficult for you.
That's true. That's true. So, you attended
I
the
don't-
College
I don't know.
of Civ. Oh, okay, yeah. Why don't you have something to say about this? I'm
Oh,
sorry,
I
I'm just
don't. Just
talking
fine.
over
I
my
didn't-
guest.
No, I don't really, because I started college like right around. So when I was in college, that's when Tokyo Pop was hot, and that's when New Type was out, and there were a lot of people who loved drawing in anime style and in a manga style. And they were getting signed by Tokyo Pop, but then Tokyo Pop pulled a bunch of shit and ripped people off. So I don't know. That's how. Sorry, I should have asked if you guys like allow swearing or not.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Go for
No
it.
worries.
But so I don't know what it was like before so much, but because I started college right when that first began, and it felt to me like there was a lot of resistance to anybody who did a manga style, and it still was until very recently, because I always had a manga influence, and it was first very hard for me to shake, and B, I didn't want to shake it. I love having a manga influence, and I've always fought people who are telling me to drop it, but there was pushback in art school from it, and there was pushback from doing professional comics with it. I was told by DC twice that I was too manga for them. And when I have other thoughts as well. Every time I work I did get work for Marvel, but they would only put me on like YA stuff where like
Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay, cool. I'm not gonna get too into it then, but Oh dear. Oh dear, you have one. All right. Oh, my dark past. So yeah.
It's cool.
I don't
Frequency
super
Girl
have-
actually really liked it, and I know it's more YA, but
Yeah.
you know, actually, I have a different question about that book than probably some of the standard fare that you get. But you might hate talking about the past, and we might just want to talk about the future. Before we get to that, though, you attended the College of Art and Design in Savannah.
Yeah.
And you got an illustration way before that, but I guess you cultivated your skills there. What is the most number of panels that you can fit on a page?
I mean, and make it still look good?
Yeah.
Let's see. How many have I tried? I don't try to cram that many things in, a page. Like you wanna, let's see.
11?
I think
12?
I think I've done about 11. I think 11 is doable. Maybe 12 if you're doing like a European comic size, because the size of the print also matters, like the resolution you're viewing it. So 11 or 12, and it depends, because I've done pages with just a lot of small moments, and it's like just a character's expression slightly changing moment to moment, and it's a very like, not every page is like that, but that one page you're doing a special effect of like really small insets. So I'd say like 11 or 12, but not like every single page. That would be a little ridiculous.
36, 42,
These are
height.
wild answers.
Yeah. I mean, James Stocco did a lot, and we always bring that back up.
Yeah.
He did like 40-something.
Yeah, but specifically that page is a drug-fueled descent into madness. So.
Rockefort did 16. So my second part of that question is, how many pages have you turned out in a week? What was your maximum?
I think, I've done 24-hour comics before, so 24 hours, 24 pages.
No, I mean, how many good pages? I'm kidding. Wow.
Actually, tell us more. I actually have no idea. What is a 24-hour comic?
So it was a challenge that we had in college, and it's actually like a cross major. It was a school-wide event, so you would, I'm sure this is very healthy, the challenge was for every major that you would hold a school-wide event, and you could you didn't have to pick the challenge from your major. Most people did. So it was like you make a game in 24 hours, or you make an animation in 24 hours, or you make a comic in 24 hours, and or you make a sculpture in 24 hours. So I love doing that because I don't know, I just thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm a little competitive.
So what?
The school
what
of
would you
rocketeering.
consider?
I want to make my joke.
Okay. Sure.
The school of rocketeering probably excelled at that. Make a rocket and shoot it to the. Okay, it was funny in my head.
So
the school of medicine and brain surgery probably could do that challenge really well.
I would prefer not. This is very much an art school thing.
So no, actually, it absolutely is. We definitely had 24-hour like drawing marathons and painting marathons where we would just like be at it for that long. What would you consider to be a finished comic book in 24 hours?
Inked. It doesn't have to be inked. Just readable, lettered. Yeah, you don't have
Readable
to,
and lettered. Okay. It's some
Yeah.
ninja.
If it's penciled and it's not ink but it's legible, then yeah.
And how many pages were you able to succeed at in that?
24.
I think I did 25 plus a cover.
Yeah. Damn.
When you were working at Marvel and you were doing pickup work for them, I think you said 9 was the number of pages that they expected you to crank out in a week. I know you were doing Phil, but that's kind of what I was getting at.
Okay.
Super professional work and whatnot.
Right. Like actual number.
Oh, he wants me back in my box? I defy you, Hockey. You can't Pandora me. I am Hope. So...
I started getting a lot of rush jobs from Marvel as well, and they wanted me to do 9 pages in a week last minute. Underpaid.
Yeah.
Jake says you should do a 24-hour comic challenge versus in October, Garrett.
Oh.
I don't know if he means versus Irene or if you just
in
do it
general on the channel.
I think you should, but only if we're done with what we're doing by the time that rolls around. Because we're going to
Tell
be
you
in
what,
fulfillment
Jake,
late in October.
I am super down for that. Assuming that our comic is all fulfilled and in people's hands.
That's not going to be in people's hands until December.
But we'll be boxing it
I'm
in
timing
October.
it.
and mailing
We're
it.
going to be done and ready. I'm timing it so that they get it in December.
Okay, as long as everything is on track and I'm not currently putting out a fire, October, let's try and organize that. We'll do like a
That'd be
channel
cool.
wide, like 24-hour comic book challenge.
Kind of like when everyone did ARO across like 5 different channels in one night. That was freaking awesome.
That would be cool.
Come up with like a Halloween theme and everything, and we could have some like
Oh,
spooky
dude,
books.
this is a great idea.
Yep.
Yeah, like screw Inktober. 24-hour comic October.
you go.
I don't know, whatever. So you boast a pretty impressive resume. You've actually done quite a bit of work for the mainstream. As a penciler, you've worked on Deadpool, Gwenpool, Edge of the Venomverse, Silk, Marvel Superhero Adventures, and Marvel Rising. You've also done animation for Archer, Chosen, and Unsupervised, and you've even done some covers for lesser-known titles like Run by the Gun and The Naked Eye. What was it like coming out of college and getting into that fast-paced life in the mainstream?
Well, straight out of college, I actually decided to work full-time in animation. So most of my career, I've had a full-time day job doing some sort of animation. So that's where my credits from Archer and some other, it's mostly for like one animation company. So it's the same studio that did Archer, and I did Chosen for them as well, and also another Marvel show that I was working on, but it's coming out later this year, but I can't talk about it yet. So that's what I was doing mostly for a day job, and then I also left, because animation is very seasonal. It's terribly unstable, and I did gaming and some mobile games and some casino game stuff. So and in between, I take freelance wherever I could get it, and I went full freelance doing comics for about 4 years or so. And that's when I was working on Gwenpool and then Silk, and but then after a while I realized I wanted to go independent, and I quit taking mainstream work and developed Fiendish. So
Right.
I'm sorry. Did that answer your question? What was your question?
For the most part, I mean, like, no one's really paying attention to this anyway, so it's all good.
Sometimes
but-
I just start rambling. I'm like, what were you asking? I'm so sorry.
No. I'm pretty sure most of our show is either myself or Aaron rambling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You fit
That's
in.
why I mean, like, no one's paying attention because I just start talking. Who was your favorite character to draw of the various characters you boast on your resume?
Let's see. So things, characters that are not mine, right?
Yes. You can say none of them. You can say you hated it all. It's
I
fine.
hate it. I mean, close. I hate it all.
All right, that's a good enough question. So I'm gonna ask the one everyone wants to know. What was it like working on a book edited by Heather Antos?
It was like work. It was any other job. Let's see. Well, okay. First of all, I wasn't super. I realized I should give a serious answer to the previous question because I wasn't super into most of the books they assigned me to. I was just taking whatever work from Marvel I could get to pay the bills. But I quite like working on Deadpool, even though they put me on Lady Deadpool, because of course a girl has to work on a girl character. But I like working on like gross stuff and like, kind of more gnarly zombie stuff. But then they stopped giving me that kind of work. I don't know why. So yeah, that was enjoyable. And
I mean, you have theories as to why, right?
I have suspicions, but I was never told.
But I mean, it's all
but
conspiracy stuff anyway.
It's all conspiracy, but I wonder why my entire time every single book I was assigned to was a girl character. One time I was assigned to a Spider-Man short. That's it. So.
Hey, that's better than not being assigned to Spider-Man, though, right?
Yeah, I should be grateful. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Marvel gave you some work, and therefore you should bow to your corporate overlords for the rest of your life.
Of course, that's how it works.
Right. Exactly.
Was it frustrating for you
Must have been.
to always
Disney
get
kill
put
teams are
on-
going to kick the door in again.
Again? Again. We're ready for him this time.
It was frustrating, and I didn't super notice it at first because I kind of just I noticed it when they put me so I worked on Deadpool Family in like 2011, so I was actually still in college when I got that job, and so it was a book where it was a bunch of shorts, like 11-page shorts, and they hired a bunch of like young artists to do like 10 or 11-page shorts for this whole compilation, and it was like all the other artists were dudes, and they got like head pool or normal Deadpool or dog pool, and I got lady Deadpool. I was like, okay, so I'm the girl artist. That's what I'm branded as. And it just kept on happening, and I was like, okay, I guess I have to pay my dues any day now. They'll actually give me something that fits my style, and it never happened. I gave them like 5 years. So
yeah, I was going to say, when did they hire you again? I mean, Gwenpool, which is when you were like legit drawing Gwenpool, was in 2017, right? You were working for them before then.
I was in 2015 or 16. That's when I was working on Gwenpool, and then Silk was like 2016 to 2017. And then I did a bunch of miscellaneous work for them afterwards, between like 2018 to 2019, and then afterwards I stopped taking work from them. But like the other miscellaneous work that, I was just taking whatever they offered me, because it's like I can't just ask for like, hey, you should give me so and so, let me draw Colossus. But it's just whatever they offered, and they were offering like Marvel superhero adventures and Squirrel Girl fill-ins.
Drawing Colossus is what broke up the dream team, though. You can't have you drawing Colossus.
Yeah.
So now you're an artist, and I don't mind saying you're a damn good one.
Yeah.
But I want to know, being a woman working at Marvel in the 2015, 16, 17 milkshake era, did you ever have to deal with online harassment?
I'm shocked no one has asked me about this yet. Very, very interesting. Let's see.
I mean, you were there when this whole thing was exploding.
Right, I was right there.
Right there.
Yeah, I was literally right there. And I was working on Gwenpool and everything. And it was very interesting because when this thing first blew up in my face, I didn't know anything about, I didn't know anything about online comics or indie comics, and I didn't know anything about like Comicsgate. So the only narrative I had was the other people that worked at Marvel. So I believed their version at the very beginning. And I was like, oh, people are harassing, the other people who work in Marvel online. And that's what all the people, like my professors that I went to college with and the people I've gotten to know, that's what they were saying. But then, I have a brain, and I can open YouTube and I can do my research. And then it was very easy for me to figure out that it seems kind of weird. It's like, yeah, some people are kind of mean, but I don't see harassment. I see, people on both sides being mean, and they're just saying that Marvel's kind of acting, or like mainstream, not just Marvel, as I don't know.
It's very much the big two,
It's a big two.
It's also a lot of the comic book journalists or entertainment journalists in general, and they do it so that they stoke the embers of what Garrett likes to call the algorithm, if I can put words back in your mouth, so that they're not mine, they're yours. But it's the outrage. That's all we hear about. We don't hear about what's really going on in comics. We hear about the outrage that's going on in comics, like the whole Hellfire thing, like people get angry about it or they defend it, and either way the game journos win, the comic journos win, because you're reading the article to hate on it or to celebrate it. And that kind of guides that narrative down this horrible, dark, spirally hole where you get people on one side who are feeling like comic books are being taken away from them, and they're being told that they're not welcome in the genre that they helped popularize. And on the other, you get people who feel like they're being harassed by angry fans, and it's just stupid. The whole thing is kind of distasteful to me at this point. I just want to enjoy comics, and if that means I have to make my own and buy indie comics from people who I like, then that's what I'm going to do. And I like the look of Fiendish, so we're going to have to talk about that because we're 40 minutes in. We haven't even mentioned your book.
But speaking of other modern comics and stuff, is there anything in that's coming out currently that you're digesting or that you're looking at?
Oh, let's see.
Say the words.
What, Daniel Warren Johnson?
There you go.
That's my. I'm really excited with everything that Daniel Warren Johnson puts out, so I talk about him a lot. But
okay.
And rightly so. He's a great artist. He's a phenomenal storyteller. He's really good. And I like being compared.
What are you reading?
I am not reading much. I'm so busy. I mostly keep up with manga though. So like Vinland Saga is one of my favorites, and
Nice.
there's another really weird manga that is not usually what I read, but it's it's just really weird and wild, and a friend recommended it to me. It's called what is it? Demons. It's really weird. It's a really weird name, but
Like a bunch of D's, then demons?
Jake.
like
Oh, so DDD demon?
demons. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's a very weird title, but it's about aliens and time travel, and it's really weird because it's manga, but it's fun. Not much else. I'm sure as soon as we end the stream, I'll be like, oh, I should have mentioned this other thing. But
I do that all the time.
yeah, but
Like,
you know,
I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Not,
Why didn't I say that?
I think it's up to
know.
10.
We have to start a new tally. You threw the old one
Oh,
away.
I threw the old one away when we hit
Yeah.
5.
Good.
Sorry.
No, we were past 5.
I don't remember where we were.
I'll have to make like a nice, pretty sign.
In
so
case you
don't throw it away.
didn't, you probably don't know what's going on. But every time Garrett says Daniel Warren Johnson, we have to mark it down because it's a
okay.
running tally. And when we get to a certain number, we're going to do a certain something. I don't know what yet, but
The new one.
something. I just want
me
to say
to-
hi
force me to
to
drink. I don't know.
Wild Food. What is up, Wild Food? And Creators Outlet. Thanks for joining us today. Manga and indie comics, indeed.
Yeah.
It's stuff
Good
that we can embrace. So I have to ask also, just to see how many viewers we're going to lose when you answer this question. Do you fly your weed flag high?
Yes, I do. I suppose.
Hey, we got
Excellent.
Sim. Nice.
Hey, Sam. I've never been shy of my manga influence, and apparently it's been a problem for me.
All right,
But-
guys. Time to refund. So
No, I mean can you not tell though? It seems pretty obvious. I mean, it's just very manga.
I think we have a consistent fight on the channel where we try to stick up for weebs and the fact that
is this-
manga is just comics.
what is this weed?
And that's
Do you have a
just
mouse
me.
in your pocket?
That's fair. Me. You're the one who champions pouches and 90s
yeah,
and Uzis.
yeah, pouches.
No, I think manga
Aaron's
has an
secret
absolutely should have a solid place in comics and in every comic reader's digest. I think it should be everywhere.
More and more, I agree with you that manga is influencing Western comics
In good
And same
ways.
thing- in good ways. The way that Western comics is starting to absorb other cultural elements from your Euro comics, Belgian comics, stuff like that. Where, like you said, the borders are sort of getting blurred. The boundaries are starting to become less about like geographical, more about cultural and subject matter. And that's still why manga's kicking comic book ass. It's because they got a comic book for everything, for everyone. You want to read about tennis? We got a manga about tennis. You
Hell
want to
yeah.
read a manga about a guy with a chainsaw for a face? We got one of those.
So Jake has the name.
Dead Demons, DDDD Destruction.
Yes, there you go. That's the full
Freaking
name.
Jake Twister. with
Jake Twister, yep.
Just
That's why I was like, Jake, get in here.
an
I need you.
unreal
I need you.
depth of pop culture knowledge from around the world.
No,
I don't know how you do it, dude.
Legit, dude. He's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't sleep. I've talked to this guy. He just doesn't sleep. It's like, what are you up to, man? He's like, oh, I'm going on 32 hours of being awake. What are you up to? I'm watching anime. So
It's amazing.
when you wrote and you drew Fiendish, is that the first time that you had full creative control over something you were working on?
Over something that I'm actually publishing, I'm putting out. Yes, I've been.
What did it feel like?
Awesome. It's what I always wanted to do. It's it's not like it's the first thing I've created. Like I said, I've always been very creative. I was writing and drawing stories for a really long time, but before Fiendish, it's I tried to step back and take a look at my work, and I always knew I had stories before that, but it just wasn't ready. I knew that the stories I was making, it wasn't good enough. There wasn't a core to it, and I was pretty frustrated with it, but at the same time, I knew it's like, well, I don't want to put out something without being sure that it's really, really good. And I had I've always been decently good at drawing, but I didn't want to put out something with no story, but just good art. So I was trying for a long time. I was trying to come up with something, figure out what I wanted to say, what kind of story I wanted to tell. And I also think it was just a matter of being old enough and having experience. But also that just meant I had to be an art monkey for other people all through my 20s, and that really, really sucked. But I guess you got to pay your dues, and it was also a learning experience, and I learned a lot about the industry and about working professionally through those jobs. So yeah, but doing Fiendish is always what I wanted to do. I feel like I've been building up to this, and this is my dream. I've always wanted to have my own story and be independent.
Was it always Fiendish? How long have you been working on it?
I've been working on Fiendish since about 2018. So no. There are elements to the story that go way back, like the type of story I want to tell. I've always liked ancient eldritch horror, like slightly Lovecraftian stuff, monsters, and mystery stories have always been my favorite. Going back to like Detective Conan, and I really like reading murder mysteries when I was a teenager. So that's so like Fiendish is fantasy, but there's a lot of mystery elements in it. Once you start reading, you'll see. But I didn't even think I would do a fantasy comic. I was more of a sci-fi person for a lot of years. My favorite anime was Ghost in the Shell, but I think with Fiendish it just kind of worked out. Like I had the idea, and it seemed like fantasy was the best medium for it. But at the same time, I'm not sticking to like elves and dwarves and Tolkien as fantasy. I put a little bit of sci-fi in it. It's just like it's a fantasy world. It's pre-industrial, kind of technology, but I'm not trying to be constrained with like just the standards of, like the tropes of a medium, right? I'm just doing what feels right. And also it's very influenced by D&D, so I think that's probably helped a lot. I'm a huge D&D player.
Oh, awesome.
We're kind of big D&D nerds over
Yay!
here.
Yeah, we haven't actually done any D&D content yet, but we might shift gears.
We
put up a poll.
We played D&D every other week on Tuesdays.
Yeah, but I meant like on camera.
On camera.
Because
Gotcha.
like honestly, I think that's what they really want. They want us to like act out our D&D characters, and you kind of need to be in a fantasy setting for that.
Yeah.
Because when we're playing vampire or something else, we're still kind of too, normal. I had a question and now I completely forgot it. How big of a Ghost in the Shell fan are you?
Let's see. Oh no, I feel like my nerdery is going to be challenged now. I mean, pretty big.
No, I'm looking for a specific answer.
Would you ever, Section 9 tattoo on my
get
ankle.
a tattoo on your ankle? Yeah?
Yes, I have a Section 9 tattoo on my ankle, so there you go.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to test you. He was trying to segue
I don't
into...
gatekeep. I don't know how to gatekeep. I'm not a big enough nerd to gatekeep anything. I'm the worst. I would be like, go on right in.
Okay, you know more than me. Okay.
Right? I would be the worst gatekeeper.
Like,
I would ask a question, they'd be like, no, you. I'd be like, I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't know.
So you did say that now that you've got a taste of indie comics and you've had such significant success, you have no plans on going back to the mainstream. Is independent publishing, specifically with Fiendish, going to be the order of the day for you from now on?
I think so. I think, I really like the indie scene. And it's not so much that I draw a specific difference between indie comics or the mainstream, but I think it's just I'm gravitating towards where I feel like the passion is and where I see, I find like-minded people that are also trying to make comics the same way that I've always thought comics should be. Because again, coming from manga, I've always been really weirded at how corporatized American comics are. And it's more than just, I didn't grow up reading these characters. It is. And
now it's D&D too. Like Hockey just said, Wizards of the Coast took over, so D&D is corporatized. Like everything. Right. Disney took over everything. Movies, very corporatized.
It really weirds me out. I don't really know how to describe this, but from I have an outsider's perspective to this in a sense, and I still never really was able to be comfortable with how corporatized entertainment is in the United States. It's like, to me, it doesn't have to be this way, because look at the manga industry, look at, anime, and even though, you have corporations and you have Toei and you have, Kodansha and Hakusensha, but it's not to the same degree in America. It's you have a couple of, it's basically, everything's a duopoly at this point with almost every sector of entertainment. And that comes before the creativity, and they don't put the art first, I think, and it weirded me out how the comics were more about the franchise. Everything was a franchise is about the character, instead of, hey, this is a creator with a story that they really love, and they want to put out a book that they is like this is something that's coming from the heart, which is how manga is. And when I first came to America, the stories that I gravitated to were always stuff by Image or IDW, and but then
here.
recently
Everything
I kind of
Skybound puts out usually is pretty freaking awesome because it's like a single run of like eight issues or something.
Mo, are you timing out Jake? He's timing out Jake, isn't he?
Oh, no.
Put Jake on a timeout.
Jake.
And Jake said,
Drunk power.
you realize that putting me on 300-second timeout only grows this old otaku's desire to F the West with manga, right?
I don't know if you've seen recently James Herron's putting out Ultra Mega.
Oh man,
and
Ultra
I've
Mega's
been
dope.
really into that. I think there's 3 issues out so far.
To be fair,
it might be
there
4.
is-
I don't know.
There is manga influence now, but it is
Well,
still
no,
very
but I'm-
Western drawn.
Yeah, but what I'm saying really is, when he made that, like, it's not your typical 24 to 32 page book.
Oh yeah, he made
it's,
it big. He
It's
made a
thick.
big boy.
It's, a story he wants to tell about
It's 30
kaiju
36
and
plus pages.
Ultraman
Yeah,
dudes.
do you
and
have the intro of that? It says
No,
something
it's
like,
it's upstairs or something.
I love big robots and kaiju. I don't know very much about it, but I want to make a comic. It's like, go for it, dude. Live your dream. Frog G's dropping
Sam
links. What?
Rogers has asked twice.
Oh, yeah. This is Joe.
Any plans to get your comics into stores?
Not like on a large scale. I've spoken to some comic shops just locally, but it's weird. I don't feel like comic shops are super interested. A lot seem very open to supporting indie creators, but I haven't really, I don't have plans to go through a distributor or anything. So far,
Scout's
just
good.
crowdfunding.
Scout and Alterna both for me kind of like sitting there. They're somewhat two sides of the same coin, if you will. But they're both pretty good as far as your local distribution if you're talking about getting into stores. I was just saying that because someone mentioned Scout Comics. Someone in the chat.
Now.
I don't remember.
I think it was
flew
Creators
by.
Outlet.
Creators Outlet. Mo is now saying he doesn't mind manga influence in comic art as long as the influence doesn't extend to human characters' faces. Mo, you're getting worn down.
We're slowly poisoning the
As long as it's not the face. It sounds like something out of Anchorman.
Are you sure? Maybe you should read Fiendish and see how you feel about that.
I mean, Fiendish does have some anime eyes in there.
Yeah.
Fiendish
So
is
let's talk about
awesome.
Fiendish a little bit. Let's talk about Fiendish because I want to come back to something about this later. But why don't you tell us about the world of Fiendish? What's the setting like? Who are the characters? And what's the primary conflict?
Sure. So Fiendish is it's set in a complete fantasy world. I built this world myself. It's a giant ball of nerdery, and essentially, the world is it's a little complicated as I have like different planes and stuff set up, but essentially, at this point in time in my story, the world that the story takes place in, the plane that the story takes place in, it's generally a pre-industrial setting, and I draw a lot of influence from pagan cultures from all around the world. But I try to mix it up. I don't try to, as you can probably tell, like the main area where we start the story is very Slavic mixed with Nordic pagan culture, but I have a whole wide world out there, and there are a lot of different cultures that I've built and made up. But in general, the world is very similar to our own, except there is some magic, but I have a hard magic system, and humans have certain magical abilities that are specific to humans, and oh no, the doggy! Doggy!
Yeah, sorry, he occasionally shows up and
You start talking about
breaks.
D&D and other planes and stuff, and he comes
He
out.
heard you, and he's like, I want to play too.
Yeah.
I want to get the monsters.
It's a good doggy. This is a good doggy. Where's this toy?
This is JoJo. He just turned 3 years old last week.
Oh my gosh,
So.
so
Slobbers
adorable.
all over me.
Everybody in the chat can wish him a good happy birthday. He's a
Wish
good
JoJo
boy.
happy birthday. He got
JoJo.
toys. Yep.
Oh, that's
This
adorable.
is such a good book. This is such a good looking book. Now, honestly, this is one of the very few books that I would be interested to read in black and white. There's, I think,
I'm very glad to hear
3.
that. It was supposed to be in black and white at first, but then
I know.
our 10-day stretch goal is to get it colored, so now it's going to be in color. But I'm still offering it in black and white because people did really like the black and white version.
Yeah, I
it's
think
really pretty.
you're offering it in chromium now, right? Is that the idea?
No, not quite chromium. No.
Not chromatic. I don't know. What is it called on the
Chromatic.
page? Is that
Oh,
no? Chromium's the cover that does the shiny thing, right?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
I can't gatekeep
that's like
anyone.
the
I don't know
super
anything.
fancy. That's the super fancy version. But no, I have a black and white version and a color version. But yep. And
You gotta get the black and white one.
oh yeah, people really
So
like that.
we already got the one that got turned into color. You colorized it, you witch.
colorized it?
So now
I
we've
mean,
got to
you
get
could just-
the chrome one.
You could just tell me, and I can make sure your order is in black and white.
No, just let us buy another one.
Okay,
You know,
I'll
like,
do
why are you
that.
doing
That's
that?
cool. Okay, all right. But yeah, kind of going back to a general rundown of the world. It's very similar to our own, except there is a hard magic system, and gods and spirits are real. And the general premise is there is a lot of lost ancient history, and it's about the characters uncovering a lot of what happened a very, very long time ago in the past. So that's where my Lovecraft influence kind of comes in. A lot of Eldritch horror will come in later on in the story, and it's kind of like Eldritch horror but mixed with pagan, like high fantasy and pagan stuff, but with like ancient eldritch things. And I'm very proud of the hard magic system because I'm a big fan of FMA, and I don't think a lot of people do a hard magic system well. So that's something that I'm very excited to introduce in the next few chapters.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I love hard magic. I love when people take time to really flesh out the cosmic laws of their universe and establish something that can maintain my suspension of disbelief by giving me some sort of reference to a consistent fictional element in their fantasy landscape. I hate it when people just casually violate their own mythology because it's convenient.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
nothing worse than that. Please don't do that. I will have to call you out, and I don't want to do that. I don't think you would, though. You don't strike me as the type of person that would just be like, oh, and hyperspace flies through ships. Yay!
Nope, don't plan on doing that ever. I'm very much all about things have to logically make sense.
Good.
So
See, exactly. That's the type of writer
insane.
I am. So you really are a writer-artist, man. I hate you more and more.
yay!
Whenever he's jealous of somebody's work,
Yeah.
he usually tells them that he hates them.
Right,
So
or their art
please
makes
take
you
that as the
angry.
compliment.
Yeah.
Okay, yay!
If you get under my skin. So we know who the characters are. We know what the principal conflict is. What are the stakes, and why should I care?
The stakes are, let's see, well, the overall story, the stakes are pretty huge. It's essentially, let's see, because it's a mystery, well, not magic, it's a mystery story, so I don't want to give away too much, but the stakes are going to get pretty high. It's going to be on the level of, well, the fabric of reality is at stake. And
Well, let's actually-
the stability between the planes is something that is what we're going to be preserving later on. That's what we find out we're trying to restore.
Can we back up just a little bit? Who are the characters in the book? Because I saw on the video there are three kind of prominent characters: the guy with the bow, the dude with the hatchets, and the woman with the sickle dagger.
Casimir, someone, and something.
Because I mean, for
Aaron just
start-
has the name Casimir. That's why it's the only one that sticks
Nothing
in
to
his
do with the
brain.
fact
for
that
starters,
that was
they're really great designs. The guy with the bow definitely reminds me of like a young Gotts a little bit. I'm
Which
getting
one?
some
Who?
like judo vibes off the guy with the axes. I mean, honestly, I'm getting berserk vibes off a lot of this. I don't know if that's intentional.
It's like one of the first
It
things that she lists.
probably, yeah, that probably is just, and that happens naturally. What's funny though is, okay, so I have 4 major characters, and the fourth one is Ragna, and she hasn't been introduced yet, but that's actually my 25k stretch goal, is to introduce Ragna in chapter 1, because she was supposed to come in
How far
chapter
are
2. We're like 1,200 or something, so yeah, that would be really cool if we
So
get
people
there.
start backing this.
Yeah, back this, because I still have a couple of stretch goals. So I have, the way I wrote the story is, it's a little weird. I have 4 protagonists, even though Casimir is the main character. I don't know if that is a really clean way of explaining it, but that's the way I thought of it, and it really worked for how I want to structure the story. And so Casimir is the main character. He's the one who he survived a monster attack on his hometown years ago when he was a child, and he was, as far as he knows, is the sole survivor. So premise a little similar to Demon Slayer, which I think it's probably a good thing. I'm like, hey, it's kind of like Demon Slayer, but different version of it. Not quite, but sure, that'll sell it, right? So, but basically, he escaped far away after the demon attack, and he tried to forget about his past. But years later, the same monsters resurface and start killing again, and he realized he can't run from his past anymore. So he decides to go on a journey to find out where these monsters came from and revisit his past, and because he's uniquely capable of uncovering this mystery and rectifying whatever is wrong with.
It's because
wrong
guys
with his
named
world.
Casimir are awesome. It's true.
I mean, I won't argue with that. People have really liked that name, so
They're
just like the name
they're made of
stands out
magic.
a lot.
They're super cool. They're not Mary Sue's because they have to fight and claw and endure for every ounce of power that they get. But
Why were you
wind
such
up,
a fan of the name?
I don't know, and I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you in the back
may-
room.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was
tell you in the
totally
back
gonna
room.
out him, right?
Yeah,
in the
you
middle of
can't
the
you can't out
stream.
me in front of my own chat, right? So yeah, not my monkeys, not my circus. Wanted to make sure that it is going to be in black and white. I told him yes, you can get it in black and white, and you will specify also if you contact Irene after the campaign closes that you want it fulfilled in black and white. You'd be happy to do that too, I believe.
You can get I made
The chromatic
a
tier.
yeah, or I don't know if that's the right term, but the smoke tier, the tier that's called smoke is the black and white one. Yes, because originally the book was black and white, but then we hit our stretch limit in color, but a lot of people were like, "Give me in black and white," and I was like, "Yes, I will." So now we have
So
the
it's
smoke
right
tier
here.
is the book in black and white. So I'm doing like basically a black and white variant of it on top of
Right.
the default color.
Right.
So there
Sorry,
you
I
go.
thought I was still shared. It's right here.
Yep.
I'm like, it's right here.
It's in
But
gray.
no
Yeah,
one
it's in
else can
grayscale.
see
The book
it
in grayscale.
'cause I didn't share.
Yes.
So
it-
yeah,
there's-
I want that because we actually I think we backed Plasma. We were on the stream, or I was on the stream because nobody else here stays up late enough to be on the stream when you were on with Bancroft that back in May.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta say, you had 192 backers at the time when you went on, and around
Yeah.
8,000. And you were going in late into that first 30 days. Now you're at 527 backers.
Hell yeah.
And 23 plus thousand, right?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
kind of
23,895. It's almost 24,000.
Yes.
I just have to say, in your estimation, how would you account for the surge in interest in your comic book?
I think it's just putting the comic in front of people who are interested, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of indie comics now. It's just getting eyes on the work, because that's the main challenge that we're facing. We don't have publicity companies, and we don't have media, like big media or venture capitalists or large corporations doing advertising for us. So, but when people see indie comics, they like it because there's a lot of talent in this scene. So that's why like YouTube and all these streams and have really helped me, and I really appreciate it. It was entirely the readers who first saw Fiendish slowly. It kind of just built up. It was people who found Fiendish on Indiegogo telling me to go on these people's streams, and I just kind of walked into the scene. I didn't really know anything about. I mean, I knew a little bit about indie comics, but I wasn't super tuned in. I was kind of just in a corner doing my own stuff. But I put out Fiendish, and a bunch of people were like, "Hey, you should go on this person's show. You should try to talk to Bancroft. You should talk to Rachel Golden Eagle." So slowly, little by little, I was recommended to go on streams, and it was amazing. It was all this help was just coming out of nowhere, and it's all thanks to them, and it's thanks to their enthusiasm.
How bad are your CG cooties?
My CG cooties? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, if you circulate within the different channels that promote indie books, generally, specifically on YouTube, most of them are going to be CG adjacent, CG aligned, or whatever. And the more that you interact with them, the more you're going to, I guess, get cooties. When you were on Bancroft, you actually said, "I'm not going back to the mainstream because I have CG cooties." So how bad are those cooties now? You have 527 backers after doing that premiere when you had 192. I'm not saying that X is why or anything like that, but I'm totally implying that when you started getting exposure by going through the various different channels and letting people know that your book is out there, it garnered a lot of interest and went from 8,000 to 23,000, from 200 to almost 600.
Yeah, it was.
How bad are your
was
CG cooties?
It was the streaming that helped promote my book. Helped promote my book to where it is now, propelled it forward, and this project happened because of CG. Is completely true.
Yep.
So
that's the point.
That is completely true, and I know it. And probably the cooties are pretty bad, and at this point, I don't particularly give a shit because no matter.
You did the mainstream. You
I
did
did
it.
the mainstream.
You did the mainstream, and you didn't like the mainstream.
No.
You left the mainstream to make your own book. You made your own book, and then suddenly you found traction by going through the different channels that promote indie books. And you were wholeheartedly embraced by a group of people that were accused of harassing the very people you were working with at the time that you were at the companies that you left. That's kind of what I'm saying here. I've just got to
camera on, shouldn't I? There you go. Thank you for putting into words what I've been not inarticulate enough to say this whole time. Yeah, man, because it wasn't even that, the mainstream really pissed me off. I mean, they kind of did, but it was more of like a slow disappointment, It's not like there was any drama. Like, it wasn't like I had a huge falling out with someone and I was banned from working for Marvel. But it just kind of petered out, and the mainstream wasn't giving me the creative outlet that I needed, and I never felt supported, and I wasn't able to get the creative fulfillment that I wanted this whole time, and it was really strange because I've been saying, I just realized that what I was looking for, which is a community of people that loved comics and were passionate, enthusiastic, and were supportive of new work and of each other creating, new stories, and really just all about the talent, all about the art. I was looking for that community since college, and it was nowhere to be found all this time for almost 10 years that I was doing the mainstream. I mean, I wasn't like really into mainstream. I was never in like the in crowd.
I have this book and your name's on it. Come on. I have the Deadpools your name is on. I have these books. Your name is on them. You're on IMDb. You can't say that you weren't in the mainstream. You totally were, and it's great.
Okay.
We love that.
Okay,
We love the fact, I mean, I personally, I can't speak for everybody when I say we, I mean, the greater we. I love the fact that you either fell out of love with pursuing that direction in the mainstream and decided to forge your own path, or just said, this isn't what I want, and embraced a different way of doing it. But either way, the community of people that are here now supporting you is the very same community of people that was accused of hating female artists in the mainstream and chasing them out of comics.
Yes.
You left comics, and they're your fans.
This is where I found the most support, and it's been unbelievable. It wasn't like, wow, I had some kind of drama with the mainstream, so I couldn't work with them anymore, so I ran to CG. I wanted to chase my dream, and the people who supported it were here. And these are the people who supported me, not the people in the mainstream, not the people who said they supported women creators, not the people who say all day to support immigrant creators, because I'm an immigrant too, I'm a minority. None of that mattered. I was never given the chance to, be myself and put my art out there. And I was never able to, really, I think, show people what I can do, because I feel like I spent a lot of time, I was like, I'll pay my dues, I'll keep on working on these jobs I don't like, but it wasn't getting any better. And so I think it says a lot that I put out Fiendish, and I can count the number of people I met through Marvel who backed this book on one hand. Actually, it's not. It's like 2 people. That's how many people that I met through working on Marvel books supported Fiendish.
I think I personally have backed your book more than those people at Marvel. Because
you said you're backing it twice. Yeah.
Well, we backed it already twice, I believe. I believe I backed the plasma tier when you did the wood burning, and I backed an earlier tier when you were on Bancroft. So now we're going to get a third one, and that means that we're backing it more than everyone at Marvel backed you.
Awesome.
But that's not the point.
You are.
But the
though.
point is the point is that we back books because we like the creators and we like the books that they make. Jim Cox just said it. He said, "I don't care. Some of us don't care where she was, but love where she is." And I get both sentiments there. We don't have to talk about your time in the mainstream. Your time in the mainstream doesn't really matter because what you're doing now is appealing. For me, it does matter because it shows me that you were in the place that people talk about, you know, women creators getting hated on. But now you're in the community that does the hating. I just, you know, that's all I'm baffled by it. You know,
I
how
mean,
can
I haven't felt any hate no matter where, frankly. I think in general people I've always felt very welcome, even though comics has been, you know, even in Asia it's slightly, with like manga, there's more of a female readership, but it's still slightly more guys reading it, but I've always felt very welcome, like, and nobody gave a shit. In fact, guys really like it when girls are interested in the same hobbies, and it's never ever been a problem. So I think
Eric McIntyre says Irene made a horror book that is not full of werewolves. We need that in CG right now. I know. We
Okay,
wanted to
there's
tell
a
a
lot of
werewolf story
werewolf
once
stuff.
upon a time. We did, and then it was like everyone was doing werewolves. It's like, fudge. Can't do that. What did you say?
No, I was just saying I've never felt like discriminated against for being a female creator ever. The only thing is I felt like I was being typecast because I was female when I was working in the mainstream, and I didn't like that. So
I think that's
I don't know
that
if
corporate
that's
thing.
yeah, that's a corporate thing. So I don't know if that's being discriminated against. It wasn't like I was told, you know, oh, you can't work for us, because probably that didn't, you know, that probably wasn't it. But at the same time, it was.
You didn't feel it was going where it would help you grow as a creator.
Right.
And give you your independence and freedom to create the things that you wanted. So you went and did
Yeah.
it yourself, and you found an audience that supports you. And I just continuously like to point out that that's the hateful, hate-mongering audience that hates everything. You know,
Look at all
Right,
of
so
these.
hate mongering.
stretch goals that are unlocked.
were
I know you're trying to change the subject.
No,
anyways.
I was scrolling through, and I think that's incredibly impressive.
Telling. Well, I want that last one. I want the extra 4 pages and the new character.
Yes.
Now, that was one other thing. Can I say how impressed I am that you have no tiers above $100 and you've been able to collect $23,000, almost $24,000? How'd you do that?
I don't.
Inquiring minds like mine want to know.
I don't know. I have a lot of backers, I guess. I do have a $150 tier, which is the bulk retailer perk. So you can get like 10 books on once, but I have about 8 people who back that. And the plasma tier helped a lot. That was my original art tier where I was doing the wooden demon plaques, but I had to stop taking
those
those. So
are so
I
cool.
Because you
haven't-
overloaded yourself with
I
it.
did.
Yeah.
I
There's
did.
so many you have to do.
Yeah, I took on too many, so I still have like 50 to do. It's great, Lord save me. But I stopped taking those, so now it's just been like $40, $30. That's been people backing those lower tiers, building this up. So it's been amazing.
Now, Fiendish is entirely digital?
It's entirely digital. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Would
I
you ever
can
consider doing physical art for a cover?
Sure. Yeah, I've been thinking of it because, you know, I'm aware that traditional art, you can sell the originals and stuff, and I do try to do some traditional art once in a while, but digital is
just
so much
saying, I
faster
was-
for me.
I'm just saying I was in the Red Valkyrie auction. I almost walked away with that wallet.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool.
Almost.
We got
Yeah, I-
That honest that wallet was fantastic. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a
Thank you.
Phoenix wallet, you know, crafted leather, pressed. I don't know what to call it. It's a thing. But I think that your original art would go for quite a bit, as evidenced by the fact that it did in that auction. A original cover for Fiendish, you know, I think on that campaign certainly would
I will
probably
consider it.
catapult you into the 26,000 range.
The
That's
wallet is very cool.
that's
Yeah,
a
the wallet
really
was
great
very cool.
idea. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like an original idea. Plenty of people have done it. I'm not saying that I just came up with a way for you to. No. So,
He's just saying it because he wants to buy it.
no, that's not it
And
at all.
It's a lot easier to buy it on a campaign
When I
than
convince you to
try
make
and
it.
bid against people in an
Than to bid
auction.
against people in a bidding war. Thank you for outing me. Great. Thanks, Frequency Girl. I
Sorry.
appreciate it. Jesus. I can't
I'll
keep
do
anything like,
traditional covers.
low key. Right?
It's my job as your wife.
Crack back. So, are there any plans to run Fiendish on Kickstarter?
No.
Why? You don't need to?
Yeah, it seems like I don't need to. I feel like I should elaborate that, but I just haven't even thought of it because I went to Indiegogo because, well, first of all, this is my second campaign. I did a campaign for my art book in 2019, and I just went with Indiegogo because I like the flexible funding, and also I was in Taiwan at the time, and they let me, Kickstarter didn't, Kickstarter doesn't let you do campaigns if you're in certain countries, so
Really?
I wasn't able to do a campaign because I was located in Taiwan, so I was like, what the hell? So I already had an audience with Indiegogo, and now I have more of an audience there, and I feel like I'm pretty established with Indiegogo, so I feel like I'm gonna stick with it. And it seems like there's a bit more people doing comics over here than in Kickstarter, so like, why would I bother? I also had heard Kickstarter is a little more censorious, so I just don't want to deal with that. Yeah, I don't like.
Well,
I
don't think that your book would necessarily fall into the censorious trap. I don't know.
Sumo's gloating.
Yes, I know the wallet is yours, Sumo. I know.
Yay! Thank you, Sumo.
I know. Rub it in. You know what? You should take a photo when you get it and put it on Twitter so I can hate like the comment and comment. You know what I mean? And retweet it and be like, "This so isn't fair."
Well, I can
How
always
did I
do
not
more.
know about this project until now? I must be slipping. Well, no, you. I think you were there, aren't you? I don't know. Never mind.
But you can go back.
I thought
now.
Mad My Monkeys is a mod on Bakehouse
Yeah,
channel.
you can
unless I
still
was
back
mistaken.
it. Go
Remember.
check
Maybe they
it
were
out.
doing that then.
Check it
It's
out.
possible.
There are tons of links.
Are you going
in
in
the
demand
comment.
with it?
Oh, it isn't in demand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're on
So
right
how
now.
long is it going to stay in demand?
I think I'm going to keep it in demand until either people stop buying it or until chapter 2 comes out. I was going to stop putting it. I was going to take it down as soon as we started fulfilling, but then a lot of people were like, well, you should keep it up so when people get the book, they can recommend it to people so they can keep on buying it.
Yep.
So I think I'm just going to stop doing stretch goals because then, like, once it goes to print, I can't well edit the book. So I'll stop doing stretch goals when I start fulfillment, but it will still be in demand until chapter 2 comes out. So it'll be here for a while.
Hey, Snuggie Jr., will you teach me how to Snuggie real quick? So, when you decided to do crowdfunding, what attracted you beyond the lack of censorship on Indiegogo to crowdfunding in general? I mean, you've got a career in the mainstream, or had one at the time. Why not just self-publish and reach out to the customers who had previously purchased your books?
Well, yeah, that's what I had been doing for a pretty long time. I actually did some small comics before this. I did a webcomic called Shaman Child. I printed like one issue of it, and I just tried to sell it at conventions and stuff. So what specifically drew me to crowdfunding? It just seemed like there was a scene, like there was a community around crowdfunding where people were, it seemed like I could reach a new audience with it, because with me just printing my books and selling at conventions, I knew I would only be limited to, the people I knew on Facebook or the people who knew me from my Marvel work, but I wanted to find a new audience that was outside of that. And once I tested the waters with doing my art book, and I realized that even though I made my art book for a much lower goal, I only set the goal to like $1,000, and I made like 2,500 or something, but it was a really small campaign. But I was testing the waters, and I realized that I did find a new audience with just an art book. And I'm a nobody, but I put an art book out, and people, I had a new audience who wanted, like, a huge chunk of the people who backed the art book were not people I already knew from before. So it's like I felt like I really needed to reach a new crowd. So that was a main motivator for doing crowdfunding. And also I wanted to make Fiendish something much bigger than what I could afford to make. I want to make it a good book. I want it to be big. I want to eventually be able to pay someone to color it, because I don't really do interior colors, and I want to do products with it. I want to make this, it's a long form story, and I want to go big. So, and it's not something like, I don't have money, I don't have like a big inheritance or anything. So this seemed like just a really fantastic way to get funded and help me kickstart, even though it's not Kickstarter, help me like jumpstart a project. And it's wonderful for new creators and people who have small businesses to put their ideas out.
Yep, I agree. So do you have any tips for first-time crowdfunders like myself?
Well, I don't really know. I'm not like super experienced in it. I feel like I also made a bunch of mistakes already with this, but I'm still learning.
Good, tell me what they are.
Okay.
Sometimes knowing what not to do.
B-Rose, I already heard that, and we're already doing that. Next.
Let's see. I wasn't expecting these questions, so I'm not sure.
Always expect the nefarious.
I guess have like a large range of tiers. So have like a tier for people who want like just a book and something really basic, but also some people are collectors, and that's what I was really surprised by. I didn't think like the plasma tier, I thought it would be very rare. That's why I didn't limit the number that I had to make. I thought people would be like, oh my god, 100? I'm not going to spend $100 on this book that I don't know from a nobody that I never met. But like tons of people got it. So there's a lot of people who are collectors, and so have something for the people who like that, and try to get some original art from other creators. And sketch cards are a thing as well. People like sketch cards, they like trading cards, they like original art rewards. So this probably seems obvious to you because you're actually more tapped into the scene, but I didn't know about this when I first started this project. So this is stuff that I'm learning, and I'm gonna have prepared when I launch my chapter 2 campaign. But also, I guess shipping is a thing. Like shipping is really
It's a barrier.
Yeah, it's a huge barrier, especially for international shipping, and I hate having to charge that much, but I actually had to redo all my tiers and up the international shipping just because I realized how much it was, and apparently they just raised it more for most countries now. So it's kind of ridiculous.
It proves up to $30.
It's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, South America in general has been ridiculous, and I've always known that because my colorist is actually in Colombia, so it's like I always want to send them stuff because there's a lot of stuff they can't get in South America, but then they're like, don't, it's going to cost $100. So it's just crazy. I think what I'm considering is, I've been hearing a lot of international readers say they want a digital tier because they just can't afford the shipping. When the shipping is more than the cost of the book, it's just not affordable. So yeah. I really like comics as a print medium, and I would prefer to keep it that way, but just for the sake of people actually being able to get the book internationally, I'm going to make a digital tier available from now going forward. So
I think
I think we had a very similar discussion.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
We should do a digital tier for people that can't afford the shipping. And then I had this catastrophically genius idea to discount international shipping because we wanted to do free domestic shipping. And I said, no, the Americans will understand that we can help pay for people overseas to get physical comics if we don't give them domestic shipping for free on the basic tiers, but instead discount some of the international. I thought that would be a neat idea. I don't know how much money we're going to lose doing that, but we'll have to see. I mean, if 100 people back the book, we won't lose anything. It's not a big deal. If we get 10,000 people backing the book, then we'll have a huge frickin' problem, and I'll go bankrupt. But we'll find out, won't we?
Yay.
I know what it means. I won't be able to participate in as many auctions, which is probably something everyone wants to hear. So, I guess it's a double-sided sword in my favor. Either we sell our book a whole lot and I have to pay extra for shipping, or I can just keep going and owning auctions. I'm good either way. What about making comics? What about Irene's enthusiasm is infectious, not my monkey says. I have been on so many streams where the creator can barely sound interested in their own comic. I know Irene is a lot of fun to have on streams. I've watched many streams with you on it too.
I mean, how could you not be excited about your own comic? I don't understand.
Exactly.
I feel like if you're here doing a crowdfunded comic, and I don't know, I'm a bit of an anomaly in that I'm doing almost everything on my project. But even if you're not, even if you're just one part of a team, like, you have to be very invested to be doing a crowdfunded comic and to be going independent. So I don't really get it. I'm very excited about this project, and I don't hide it. I won't hide it. I love doing this.
I mean,
pretty
you
much,
should be.
This is my whole life now. Like,
Yeah,
this
well,
is
I'm
my
right
whole
there
life.
with you.
I wake up. This is the first thing I think about. I don't my only hobby is like D&D. I have a day job, but like this is what I come back to every day. This is what I'm dedicated to.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I mean, I'm hashtag just a writer. Garrett's
It's
the
not
artist.
just a
He could
writer.
be a writer, but he's the artist. So I'm promoting and running, a YouTube channel, and he's doing the art, and it's what we do. We do have Tuesday night D&D. So
That's true.
that's
There
a
you
thing.
go.
That's
Also,
the only way
yeah.
that I have human contact, other than
We're kind of in
through
the
internet.
same area then. Just
Yeah.
work and comics, and then occasionally
And-
D&D, and that's the only time I talk to other people. Other
See,
than
we have a lot
YouTube.
in common. We like Euro comics. We enjoy manga. We both have Ghost in the Shell tattoos on our ankle. I don't really.
Like,
What about
Wait, really?
what about getting into comics? Do you have any advice for first-time creators trying to get into comics?
Ooh, wait, depending on what kind of comics. Are you talking about like doing mainstream comics, or doing
I'll let you answer that.
independent?
I'll let you answer that.
I mean,
Do you
it
think that
depends
they
on what.
should get
one.
into mainstream comics? Do you think that they should get into indie comics? What would your tips be?
It depends on what you want, because I think I know some people from art school who literally they just wanted to work for Marvel. That's all they wanted. They don't have their own ideas. They don't want to put out their own book. They just want to draw Spider-Man. That's all they ever wanted. So if that's you, cool, go for it. I'm not gonna tell you that's not what you want to do, or that's not feasible. So, but the thing is it's the way you get into doing mainstream comics now is very different than how you would traditionally get that work. It's not just you go to a convention and you meet editors and you show them your portfolio and you struggle until you're finally good enough. You send your portfolio and the editor finally notices you and gives you work. It's not really that way anymore, because Marvel and DC are barely at conventions. They don't even do portfolio reviews. So I frankly don't know how the heck you get into doing mainstream comics nowadays. I got in because I went to art school. I majored in sequential art, and I was recommended by a professor. And so I don't really know. I don't really know like how you would get to doing comics. So they just make connections. I feel like it's all about connections, which is also another thing that really annoyed me, because it felt like it wasn't so much about the work. A lot of it was about, hey, who do you know? So that kind of that always kind of bothered me a little bit. So I'm sorry I don't have a lot of advice for how to get into doing, if you want to do superhero comics. I guess on the upside with the internet, it's probably pretty easy to get seen. So if you really that's what you want to do some sample pages and post them on Twitter, and maybe an editor will see your work. That's the only thing I can really think of. And if you're good enough, I'm sure they won't ignore you. So there's that. But of course, my thing is indie comics, and that's where my passion lies, and that's the scene that I'm loving. So if that's what you want to do, if you want to do your own book, if you want to go independent, be in this wild west and this frontier land and build something from it, which I think that's what it's all about, right? It's how. Since when did that's what I feel like that's what art is about. That's what artists are supposed to be about. You're supposed to want to build something new and forge ahead. So I don't know. I like that kind of vibe to what I'm doing. So if that's what you want to do, frankly, just make a book and put it out there. Very, very.
That's
simple.
a great idea.
Just start drawing. It's not about, you need a YouTube channel first, you need to have followers on Twitter, you need to do this or that. Just start drawing the book and put it out, and then the other stuff follows. The other stuff, like the promotion, all that stuff comes afterward. What matters is having the book ready. So just start creating. As simple as that.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic. That's a great suggestion. I would add on to that, get support from the people in the community. I didn't ask you earlier. Did you ever look into getting into like the Facebook community? Because I know there are a lot of creators on Facebook who support indie comics, especially on Kickstarter, and who rally around new creators and try and get them exposure on their channels. Did you ever go looking on Facebook?
No, not really. Well, let's see. I think if you put your work out there, the support will come. But yeah, definitely, like, when you get a chance, get the work out there, put it on Indiegogo. But then, like, I feel like that's just my experience. That's what happened to me. It's like I put my stuff out there and people will help you, tell you where to promote your work and stuff like that. And for Facebook, not really. I kind of avoid Facebook nowadays. So I think I've heard some people say that there are some like Facebook groups and stuff that are useful for promoting indie comics, but no, I think my Facebook is just for like I just promote my art on there and that's it.
So some of them are good, but some of them will kick you out if you do not contribute enough to them.
Right.
Frequency Girl had a bad experience on Facebook, and that's why she decided to not bother anymore.
I run the Facebook page, and I myself am not a creator. I do all the logistic stuff and keep them on target and on task as best I can. But so, like, they wanted people to comment with writing tips and art tips and things like that, and I don't have those on my own, and they have too much on their plate to every day be logging into Facebook to be like, this is what I think you should do. So we got.
Yeah, I barely managed Twitter. Barely.
Yeah, I did hand off Twitter to Aaron.
That was a mistake.
Probably.
I don't do any social media.
Well, you kind of do
horrible.
Instagram.
He provides the art.
He provides the art for Instagram.
I just
honestly,
post it.
people just want to see the art. They don't want to talk to anyone else. Like.
That's nice to have like a team though. Sometimes I wish I had that, like someone to handle the promotion and someone to do, sales so I can just draw. But, well, that is not my life.
It's the only reason that we're currently surviving is because there's three of us.
That's amazing. You're very fortunate. Facebook like just really has turned me off. So maybe it also depends on the circles that you're a part of, but Facebook for me has kind of just turned into a dumpster fire. So I'm still on it because I have international family that I want to know whether I want to keep tabs on them and know whether they're alive or dead, and two, it's still pretty good for like posting my work. So maybe some people will, because I do have like a big friends list, so it's, you never know, it helps me get my work out there. So I just post my art and that's it, nothing else. I'm not in groups. I don't even look at my timeline. It's terrible. I use like Messenger. I use Messenger mostly to keep up with stay in contact with people. That's it.
Yeah, so Messenger is still effective. I know Frequency Girl uses Messenger too. I see alerts all over my computer screen when I go upstairs.
That's because he logs into.
It's not my fault that you leave Facebook open. It's not my fault. I don't want to know. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or you want to say to people still watching the chat? Because you're entertaining, and I don't know why they're still here.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that interesting. I don't know what to say. Is there? Oh, I think my audio went out.
Well, I mean, you could just
It's weird.
tell people where to find you on social media, because it's not Facebook. Did I need that? So why don't you just tell people where to find you, because it's obviously not Facebook.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I'll add you. I add pretty much anybody who's not a crazy person. I'm the only Irene Strychalski on Facebook. There might be another one, but it's pretty obvious which one is the one with comic stuff all over her page. So feel free to add me, but I just post the same stuff I post on like I just post my artwork and that's about it. You can find me at Irene Draws. I'm Irene Draws everywhere. Twitter, I'm pretty active nowadays, and I have a YouTube channel as well. It's Irene Draws. I stream on Wednesdays, just this chill stream. I draw sometimes. I have guests that promote their own comics sometimes. And I have my Instagram is also Irene Draws. Follow me there. I post a lot of art there. And more importantly, you can find me at Fiendish. So go to Fiendish on Indiegogo
Oh, yeah.
and fiendishcomic.com. I think I do want to let people know about the website because I'm very proud of the website. And the website is where I put a bunch of the world building material. I have character profiles. I have because I went really hard on the world building. So I have my constructed language on there. I just put up a dictionary. I have my pantheon. I have a world map, and I have like a 20-page preview because my goal was to be very transparent with everyone and show people
So
the
are
project.
you eventually
going to
have a
preview on
stretch
it.
goal for like a 5th edition campaign book?
I probably will. No joke. I'm
Excellent.
literally considering making this into a D&D spin-off. So actually, like, most of what I play is Pathfinder, but I have everything statted out. I have my character statted out. I have my colors is statting out the monsters. So the only thing is my magic system is really different than what Pathfinder has. So I have to adapt the D20 gaming system to my magic system. But other than that, I want to make this playable. Like I have like wild dreams about, further on in the project when probably when I wrap up the first arc and stuff. I'll have like character figurines. I want to do custom dice that the numbers are in Lunarsa, my constructed language. So like I have like these custom dice with like tentacles all over them. I'm looking into how to
She
get
even
that made.
spelled it
So-
right with the K.
Oh,
What?
yeah. I've been flipping through your
Casimir. You
Fiendish
spelled it right.
website.
K-A-Z.
You mentioned the
Yay!
alphabet, so I went back to the language.
I mean, like you created, your own alphabet.
the language.
Yeah. Oh, so is that the lexicon right there?
That's the dictionary.
What are you, Tolkien?
No, Tolkien is more awesome, but I just wanted to build a language. Cause I just
And
feel
your
like
own
it's-
font, apparently.
I mean, it's just the writing system. It's the writing system. So actually, it's more complicated than this because this is just like the phonetic language, and there's also a logographic writing system. But I'm trying to like ease people into having to learn.
All right, everybody. So don't forget to like, subscribe.
Too cool.
I could go on for another 5 hours. Do you want me to?
I mean, I'm all right with it. Garrett's just here drawing.
Yeah.
I'm sure chat wants to hear more about it. Personally, I'm
gonna
getting
stop being-
embarrassed by the fact that you put in so much work. You have a day job. You created your own language. Meanwhile, I'm here going, I don't know what to make the robots do.
Well, your story's different. I don't know. I've also spent like almost 4 years on this, so yeah.
That doesn't help either. I think I've been developing mine longer.
Okay. All right. So anyhow,
Reedy, you're making me feel bad about myself.
Keep it up. He needs to be
No.
humbled sometimes.
no, don't feel bad.
It's all your fault. I feel hated.
What am I doing? Okay, don't feel bad. Ugh.
No, it's okay. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'll
so
suck
you
it up. I'll put on a brave face.
Okay. So yeah, you can find me at Irene Dress right there, and also check out fiendishcomic.com.
We will. We've been posting your link quite a bit in the chat, and all of your social media information is available in the description below.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, someone else in the 4-year club. Heck yeah, Joe. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. So, this time for real, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications.
And tune into the frequency.
Chat is rebelling.
You should. Chat is rebelling. What is chat saying?
Because we haven't derenged Frank for Mo.
Peace out,
Justice
y'all.
for Mo. I stand with Mo. Yeah, okay. This is something that we will have to resolve next time on this channel. Don't forget to tune in for that on Wednesday, 7 p.m. What do we have?
Yes. Incantessi.
Oh, we have the Incantessi. So, yeah, check us out then. Until then, we'll see you next time. Roll the outro.